Pretty impressive.
Only the power plant is back online, though. Refinery itself will likely be out of service for months. Fuel sent from Supsa is being used to power the plant for now.
Just wish I could have stopped him.
Impossible without a sniper. And in our focus on anti-cyborg combat, we were unprepared. Thankfully, other than financial losses, few Abkhaz citizens were seriously affected. The plant workers had already been evacuated, and most were hired back on to rebuild the refinery. We received payment and are not being blamed for the suicide blast.
Good to hear. It should go a long way to help fix our reputation.
Duh. And even more good news. Desperado is down one of its top captains.
Let's hope they learned a lesson.
We can hope, but it is doubtful. We still do not know who is supporting them. Even if we shut Desperado down entirely, their backers could simply hire some other PMC.
Whoever it is, you really think they're interested in the pipeline? Who'd benefit besides the Georgians?
Hard to say. Whatever the plan was, it went up in flames with Dolzaev's suicide. The problem is that there are countless companies and governments profiting off the BTC pipeline. Whoever is behind it, they may be too big for a simple security firm like us to do anything.
Yeah, one thing we do know, though, is that Sundowner's more than just a pawn in all of this. We need to watch him. Trafficking or not, we need to stop their operation here.
Find the evidence, and perhaps we can do that. And Tovarich, be careful.
Have you ever worked with this client of ours before?
Duh. Several active human rights groups engage in non-violent interventions like this one. Typically, they hire firms like ours to provide security and backup. Most serious human rights abuses take place in unstable regions, after all. Legitimate human rights groups, not fakes set up by oil firm or such things, they cannot handle it.
Yeah. It's different for private groups working in hostile regions, especially when some of that hostility comes from the local authorities.
Indeed. NGOs and security firms play a greater role in peacekeeping, too. You know, DDR business. Disarmament, demobilization, reintegration. Like the UN runs it. Usually, carrying weapons is not permitted for the group involved, for obvious reasons.
So outfits like ours run guard duty. If the locals don't like armed peacekeepers, then they pretend to be unarmed observers instead.
Duh. It's beneficial for the client if the locals are aware of the firepower backing them, though. I've drank tea with the sort of people my company would normally be pushing back with the butts of our rifles. It's very different from usual. More direct sort of security work, especially at beginning. But I got used to it. Less danger of unexpected conflict, and the pay is pretty good. We've built a good reputation for this kind of work. This is why NGO hired us for this job.
How are things back in Abkhazia?
Thanks to the full efforts of the workers, power was restored in just...
Pretty impressive.
Only the power plant is back online, though. Refinery itself will... Fuel sent from Supsa is being used to power the plant for now.
Just wish I could have...
And then thank the plant... We're...
Good day. Let's...
We can even... Whoever is back...
Yeah, we need to...
Find Tovarich.
Have you ever worked...
Typically, they most...
Yeah.
In use...
So if the...
It's... We've been...
How are things back?
Thanks.
Pretty...
Only fuel... And then thank the plant... We're...
Good day. Let's...
We can even...
Whoever... Yeah, we need...
Find
Miss Trawl mentioned someone from her past. Any idea who that could have been?
None. I checked her file again, couldn't find a thing. Definitely not Dolzaev. Probably not Sundowner either.
No. The way she put it, it didn't sound like anyone I've encountered so far. Maybe someone involved in backing Desperado.
If so, sounds like they're providing more than just financing. Maybe they share the same philosophy.
That'd be bad. People willing to die for their leaders aren't so easy to predict.
Yeah, but other than the wins, Desperado's cyborgs are all just hired contractors. They're probably emotion suppressed with nanos or drugs or whatever, but that's about it.
You're probably right. You know, I've never really developed a taste for climbing through sewers. And Guadalajaras aren't exactly wowing me either. This place isn't gonna go up in flames, right? I think I saw something about that in the briefing.
You're talking about 1992? What a mess. Over 200 people killed. That was almost a half-century ago, though. You smell anything off? Before the explosions, residents complained they smelled gas from the sewers.
I'm in a sewer, Kev. You think I've got my smell receptors on? Local air analysis doesn't show anything potentially poisonous or explosive, though.
Well, you ought to be fine then. Besides, little gas explosion's probably not gonna kill someone like you.
Well, that's very encouraging. Seriously, though, Guadalajara is not a bad place. At least from what I've seen.
Oh, it's not. Second largest city in Mexico, after all. I've actually spent a lot of time down there. It's got a lot of charm. The architecture is a fusion of Latin and old colonial Spanish culture. The city's historic district is home to a massive cathedral overlooking the whole town. It's always bustling. It's a lot of fun just kicking back and watching the locals. Walking around the Libertad, taking in the sun with a cerveza in one hand, mariachi band nearby. No better way to spend a weekend, let me tell you.
If this PMC thing doesn't work out, you'd make one hell of a tour guide. Meanwhile, I'm down in this dark, filthy, humid, cramped sewer.
Also, if you ask me, the girls over there are the hottest in all of Mexico. You wouldn't believe some of the chicas I've chatted up. On the street, in the shopping malls, at the bars.
Sounds like better company than a robo-wolf and a bunch of plague-ridden mice.
Well, hang in there. I'll buy you a shot of tequila after we wrap this up. The city of tequila's not far, actually. That's where it originated.
I'll take you up on that. Now let's get this over with. Hey, Kev, let me ask you something.
What's up? We've been over pretty much all the...
No. Those girls in Guadalajara, you never told me what happened.
Jeez, man, we're in the middle of a mission here.
So they used you for free drinks and then took off, I take it, huh?
Well, they weren't really my type. I'm more of an intellectual, you know? I don't go for just any random girl at a bar. Looks are one thing, but I need someone I can talk to. Someone fun but clever with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Look, Kev, you're in your 30s now. It's time to stop holding out for Lil Miss Perfect. You just need to find someone nice. You know, settle down, start a family.
Okay, Mom. Okay.
Laugh all you want, Kev, but having kids will change your life. I can't see him all the time with work and all. But whenever I'm back home, he's always so excited to see me. When I see that, I feel like, you know, I want to do whatever I can to keep him happy.
Sure, I hear you. But look, man, I was just having some fun in Mexico. Wasn't seriously searching for a wife or anything.
I know, but separate from that, I just think you've gotten too damn picky. I can understand trying to find the ideal woman when you're young, but you know what? It's those little imperfections, those idiosyncrasies that keep things interesting in the long run. You come to appreciate that kind of stuff in a lifetime relationship.
Idiosyncrasies, huh? Like if she snores or she talks loud during movies?
Well, not if she talks during movies. A man's gotta have some standards. Miss Trall mentioned someone from her past. Any idea who that could have been?
None. I checked her file again, couldn't find a thing. Definitely not Dolzayed.
No, maybe
if
that...
Yeah, they're...
Miss Trall mentioned some...
No,
no, maybe someone involved in...
If
that...
Yeah, but other than the... They're...
I can't believe Dolzayev blew himself up.
Pretty common terror tactic. You don't usually see the leaders doing it, though. It's one thing to get your flock pumped up on the glory of dying for the cause, but it's not often they actually go through with it themselves.
You gotta have a public face, after all. The guy who gets to claim responsibility on the evening news.
In a weird way, Dolzayev showed some serious dedication. Not that I'm about to praise him for it.
Yeah, still a terrorist. A suicide bomber in the end.
If that's what you want to call him. Still, he kind of failed at it.
How so?
Well, all that explosion did was put a dent in Abkhazia's budget. More Russia's, really. They're the ones rebuilding the refinery. The coup didn't work out. He couldn't overthrow the government. He was barely a blip on Russia's radar.
So, you're saying the bombing didn't accomplish any of his goals? He did it just because he was cornered? Sounds more like just plain suicide.
Yeah. Probably wanted to end things with his own hands. Like a samurai committing harakiri.
Still not something to be commended for, though.
Yeah. Lumping him in with true warriors like the samurai just gives them a bad name.
I hope she didn't get to you. Wanting to protect the weak that's worth striving for.
Don't worry.